Hello, fellow toolboxers. Episode number 323, 323. That's a lot. I took a gap of time. And I forgot the numbers. Was it 323 or 230? Let me double check. Have you really done that many episodes? Yeah, 323. Well, good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us again. It's going to be a fun one. It's a top 10 again, top 10 things I learned or thought about this week. I want to share, get back into the motion of doing these. And so before starting, obviously, it's not intended for individual legal guidance. Consult with an immigration attorney in private about your case. You know the drill. Okay, so some housekeeping stuff. Real cool. I guess this could have been one of the top 10, but it's not. It's just a freebie. If you're an immigration lawyer, email me so I could add you to the community group because I'm going to start putting out products that we created for our law firm and give it out for free for other lawyers that are part of the community members. And one of them in particular is about the I-693 medical checkup. Unfortunately, like 10% of the doctors that do this are a complete scam, and they make a lot of errors. It creates a lot of problems for our cases. They don't fill out the boxes correctly. They put the names down correctly. They don't give copies of the material to the person so we can review the work. They don't get pieces of it. Just a whole mess. So we developed like a 13-point list that we give to clients, a PDF that has our logo and stuff on it. We just give it out to them as a handout before they schedule time with the doctor of things to watch out for. And even people that contact us, we just still give it out just so people have it. It's kind of like a lead magnet, if you will. We have like a website we can download it for the blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so why not give it to y'all? So if you wanted, we've white labeled it. So it's like a Word document and you can add your own logo, email, all that kind of stuff. It's for you. Just got to join the circle.so group. So you got to email us so you join the community. And my goal is probably next month to release a copy of a standard contract that we have, like a marriage case or something. And then just come up, our intakes that we have and all this kind of stuff. Just every month do it. So we have that continuous kind of stuff coming for free. You just got to be a member, part of a group, and just, get in the community. So that's email me with that. And if you're interested in a marriage green card, learning how to do marriage green card, adjustment of status, really just family based, but inadmissibility, consular processing, you want to learn it or you want to train somebody or you're thinking about getting into immigration, you're listening to this stuff, it's the easy switch. You just do the full-on course. It's the best thing out there. Your mind's gonna be blown about how much information and detail there is. And this updated version of the course we re-recorded is edited and made really well. It just breaks down all the sections with the regulations, the rules, the INA, CFR, what is the Foreign Affairs Manual. So it's like an encyclopedia breakdown of how the marriage green card process works. So hit me up, info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, and you can learn about that course and we get it out to you. So without further ado, let's get it started. So starting out with Department of State, one problem I'm having for months is not being able to log in to the SEAC website consistently. Like 70% of the time, it just doesn't work when I use Google Chrome. And then finally, after a million stuff I did, going that mode on Google Chrome where it hides their search. What is it called? I have Google Chrome open right now. Let me see. It's called, what is it called? Incognito mode. So that didn't work either. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. But I realized I have a Mac. When I use Safari, it works with no problems. It's fast and it's very smooth. So if you're having these issues with logging on to SEAC to do consular processing cases, Safari browser is the way to go. The second one's a doozy. I had one of our colleagues was a former student of mine at Pepperdine. He does like I got to reference and plug him too, I guess. He does like primarily E2s out of Japan. Orion Hall, great guy. But he got a client that was from Egypt and our lead, and they had this issue I'm going to talk about. And that one client led to dozens of people contact me in more cases, and then spread out from Egypt. This issue to I'm dealing with it in Dubai and in Turkey, and like it's just like a virus is spreading. It's a disastrous issue, and it's this. Parents get green cards, get citizen. So you're a U.S. citizen, and you have children, and there's different scenarios I play about, but essentially it's about transmission of citizenship to children. Department of State is issuing passports to these children. And then when they're 5, 10, 15, and recent case when they're 40, they're like reviewing again to see if the passport is properly issued. And they realize it wasn't. And then these people have to restart the whole process. It's very devastating. If they're minors, usually fixable, but it is massively devastating to have your ID taken away like that. I was watching this video about Jewish people and about identity, and like there's sometimes where Jewish people, because it's passed down a maternal line, and this rabbi is saying like I would just tell people, okay, like they would find out that their mom really wasn't Jewish, so they're not Jewish. And the rabbi was like, "Oh, we could convert, we could do this," and thought it was not a big deal. Over time, I realized how devastating identity is for people, and it's really hit me. Like when the parents realize the kids can't get passports, especially from the Middle East, because the passport is like option to freedom if things go down. So they're really distraught. And what it happens primarily is about this residency issue is when you are like, if you're the scenario is one is the parent didn't have 5 years of residence in the U.S., so they were not supposed to be able to pass down citizenship. But parents probably were here, but they can't document it, and they call them out on that. Or bigger, this happens is they don't have the 5 year residency or 5 year physical presence as part of the requirements in the INA, and the child. I should practice this podcast out more in my head, but it's 10 points, so I got to go through rushing through them. So the child, they get a green card, they come to US, go to the passport office, get the passport, because what it is when you get the green card for the kid and they move to the United States to reside with the parent, then they're US citizens automatically. But these parents don't know the residing requirement and what that is. So they come for a week or two and they go back home country with the passport. And then later on at renewal, and they say that, hey, how long did you reside with the parent in the US? And they're like, oh, we only stayed there for like a weekend or a week or something until we got the passport and came back. And like, oh, you didn't reside with the parent there, so you're taking your passport away. So that's another devastating one. And so there's different scenarios that happen. Some of them it's just too detailed. I can't get into because it's too complicated or it's confidential. But it's a major issue. And once a lot of these people in these communities over, they have big WhatsApp groups. So once you get on the WhatsApp group that you help one family, two family, then a deluge comes. It's really depressing because these families are really distraught. It's just a disaster what happens to them. So I just see that all the time. I was seeing it for like when the kids were like 10 to 15 renewing it is primarily when I would the clients that would come in. But recently got a couple that are adults have that happen to it, which is terrible because adults can't fix it. You know, it's like you're done. I had one where they had an I-130 petition for a spouse pending. Like, what do you do with that now? And it's like this is people don't think they need a lawyer for this kind of stuff, but you always need a lawyer that knows what's going on, that knows had these particular things going on. So if someone comes to me and wants to talk about like U visas and T visas, it's like I'm not the guy to go to. But there's a fine attorney that could go. But you need to find people that do this stuff are really into it. Because it's a doozy dealing with that stuff. Even the N600, which is, I'm sorry, the N600K, which I have to deal with later with a lot of these cases, that has its own complexity of passing it down, the documentation, the form itself, the way it's written. It's hard to know who's who in there, who's the applicant, who's the qualifying relative, all that kind of stuff. So it's just a weird scenario I thought I'd share with y'all. All right, let's go to USCIS. So USCIS is really pushing the online system. And I have a love-hate relationship with it because it is kind of faster to do, and you get it in, and you don't have to spend money on mailing, and like the online account's already there, so you can get receipts, all that kind of stuff, and upload RFE responses, whatever it is. I mean, for N400s, there's no real RFE response to I-130s, but ideally, if you had the I-751, it would be good because we're not getting I-751 receipts. Is that one of our? Yeah, it's the next one down the line. Okay, so anyway, so for the N401, one thing that happened for me because I just started doing these online ones like a month or two ago is if there's like one error in there and the client mistakenly says yes or no or approves the N400 but that G28 has an error because you got to redo the G28 every time at the end, and I want to like bang my head against the wall. It's like I don't want to retype all of the contact information all over again. It's like a waste of time. And because when I do that, I'll miss something. So I miss like an apartment number here, I misspelled the street, and then I have to go back to fix it. The client can't open it up again or something, so I have to delete the whole thing and do it all over again. So I had 3 NATS cases. I had to do 3 of them 3 different times. I ended up doing 9 cases. It was like a huge waste of time on this online system. Hopefully it'll get better in the future. But it's still like not smooth enough to handle, and clients don't understand it. You got to ahead of time recheck to see it just before starting. Say, hey, do you have the email address that because they might have an online USCIS account and they have to use that same email address or it's going to be a problem. So like it was a little bit annoying, but on the bright side, you get the receipts. But and the reason why getting the receipts faster is so important, although they don't always put the receipts there even, is because we're seeing that the number. This is bullet number 4. I should number these. So this is point number 4 is that we're not getting receipt notices in some cases. We did a marriage adjustment case, no receipts. We got the biometrics appointment notice, but we didn't get the receipts. And then online, it wasn't available either. We had the receipt numbers because we did the G1145, which is really urgent, important that you do with all your cases. So the client gets a text message with the case numbers. But the I-751 is really bad because they need that for work, for travel, for driver's licenses. And if it's not coming, USCIS is not giving them. At most, they're trying to give ADIT stamps, ADIT stamps. And, it's okay to do that, but, it doesn't really solve the situation. So That's a big problem that's happening, and, I mean, I mean, it's not happening too often, probably like, a case or 2, but I do a lot of live, like, programs and people comment on my YouTube. I do a lot of social media, as you all know, and it's a constant thing that's popped up in the last 45 days to 60 days where people are just saying, "I'm not getting my receipts. It's been 2 weeks, it's been 4 weeks, it's been 8 weeks, longer." So I went and on Facebook, I posted it on the group page for the private group page for Immigration Notes Toolbox, which you could join if you're on Facebook, if you're an immigration attorney, and I also posted on Nerdy Immigration Lawyers on Facebook. And then I started just getting, bro, all these lawyers are saying, yeah, we have the same situation. So probably need to tell Ayla about this, but I didn't get a chance to do that. But if you have these issues, let me know, let them know. Let's just try to get this fixed up because it's a nightmare when receipts don't come. Again, especially for an I-751. And nowadays for the N400 as well, because N400s are like green card extensions now. So that could be really handy and important to have. Number 5, Ombudsman. Oh, yeah. So Ombudsman did an annual report. Normally, I review the whole annual report and I do a separate podcast on it, but I didn't this time because the topics were kind of like outside my specialties. And like one of them was about the massive delays in I-601As, which I agree. However, this Biden's parole in place program is going to happen. It's probably going to take out a chunk of these I-601As. I'm just making this number up, but I'm guessing like 40% of them will not need it anymore because they're married to U.S. citizens and they're the qualifying relative for I-601A. But it's like, well, you don't need that parole in place there. Why bother going constant processing and deal with that headache? So that might be the way to go. Now, let me try to read my handwriting. Let me pause real quick because I can't read this at all. Okay, it seems like I didn't pause it at all. Anyways, I can read my handwriting. So I'm drinking some water. My finger got wet from the outside of the bottle and it smeared it, but it says English test. So another part they had in the Ombudsman's report is about the English language test and updating it, making it more consistent because they did analysis and like it's really random that some like field offices have really high denial rates for the English language requirement. And they're like, you think like, okay, maybe there are some, superficially like prejudicial areas, but it's not. It's like random locations, and the demographics are location all random. So it's hard to see any consistency of why the English language exam denials for N400 weren't going through. But yeah, that's that. And I guess with the I-601A, with the parole in place situation that's going on, the DACA AP is not going to be needed anymore in the future in a couple months. I mean, this is until we see next election, and it looks like Trump's going to win, frankly. So I don't know if they're going to keep DACA AP or parole in place, all that kind of stuff. One note about the 6-1 delays: there was a lawsuit in the Fourth Circuit. This is like DC Circuit. The DC Circuit is essentially is not liking delay lawsuits, so that's not a good circuit to bring these cases in. But there was a lawsuit about asylum delay for 2 years, and the court said it's not a big deal for 2 years. So that kind of sucked because the solution, I guess, for all these delays was file a lawsuit, and in that circuit, at least, they're really pushing back. All right, so number 8, B1 EAD. So this is something that pops every once in a while. It's really weird. There's this special visa where if a foreign person is it a U.S. citizen or foreign? There's like, I think it's if give me the details of it, but let's say you're like working for a foreign corporation, you're a foreigner, and then you want to come to the United States as part of operations or something like that, or do a visit, or maybe U.S. citizen. I can't remember details, but what's important is you could bring a household like a domestic worker with you, and they apply for a B1 visa, and they come, and as long as you're paying them and stuff like that, they come for like the visa period to be with you, like because some people have like domestic workers that travel with them. So that's all cool and dandy. But the issue is that in the in the CFR Code of Federal Regulations, and it says that these people are the people that need to apply for work permits, EADs. But as you know, applying for an EAD takes like forever, probably to get. So by the time they're here, it's going to take 4 months. Where they're not going to work, just going to sit. So it doesn't really make sense. But if you go to the USCIS website, and hats off to Amy Maldonado, months like last year, I brought this up and she pointed me to the website. So USCIS.gov on it, it says the EAD is not required, although you could apply for it. So USCIS.gov is not regulations, it's not code, it's not anything. It's not even policy, it's not even the policy manual, but they say that. So, I mean, at least have something to go by, take a screenshot of it, that these domestic workers, USCIS.gov says on their website for the particular category that they do not need to apply for EADs, and they can just start working. And one thing a colleague has said is, yeah, when we do a extension, because after 6 months or something, the tourist visa like runs out, and you do extension, and it asks, are you working with authorization? They just explain, hey, I got this, and you send a screenshot of the website, and they say this going through. I haven't had to go through. I've like the first time I've a client's consulting me about this, but he needs to do it now. And so we're probably going to go test it out, but I'm still waiting to see if he wants to pay for it. But it's just interesting to know that these nuances and weird stuff still exists. All right, number 8. We got word that Toronto updated its page limit and lowered it for E2 visas, which is a disaster. It was already small enough as it was, and now you got to stuff it into more. It's just so hard finding consistent systems for E2, especially because each embassy is different. When it comes to K1s and E2s, and frankly, all immigrant visas, that the way they process these cases, where you need to register, how you need to register, where you upload documents, send documents, communicate with the embassy, everyone is different. There's frankly no one can say that the fact there's no consistency in DOS when it comes to these matters, and it's very frustrating. I'm sure when it comes consistent, they'll probably be the most obnoxious version of it. But right now, like sometimes we'll have a system for years. We'll be emailing embassies and communicating with like that. And this should have been the front part, was the DOS thing. But anyway, so for part of the podcast. But they all of a sudden say, okay, you have to do this new website where you got to like go through these grids and pick down these drop down menus, and all at the end say we can't help you, or like, you know, wait it out or something like that. So it's pretty obnoxious the way they're doing things, but that's the way it goes. All right, so having said all that, 60 minutes into it, I want to get into some practice management stuff I've been doing. um is that it? I was going to talk about 2 stuff, but I guess maybe 1. I lost track. I'm not used to doing these top 10s again. I think I did 10. I didn't keep track of the numbers, but I think it was 10 things. The last thing I'll talk about, I'm getting, as you see, I'm doing about this podcast for the toolbox. On the law firm side, I'm also been getting back into doing all the video content marketing. We're doing all that kind of stuff. You probably all see me on LinkedIn and on YouTube and on TikTok and stuff. And it's been a doozy in the sense that it's working out. It took me a week to remember what I'm supposed to do. Like on TikTok, you got to be very conscious of, you know, the hook. Immediately, you got to grab someone's attention. If you're boring, they're flipping over. So, and then, you know, how to like create authority and stuff really quickly, so I know you're talking about. Then how they'll be able to talk in a fashion that keeps you engaged and not boring you. There's no pauses. There's a lot of learning curve. So it's been good. I realized my special skill is probably doing that stuff than operating a law firm. I mean, I can handle cases, but like the problem is when you start getting into social media marketing to do it right, it's like an all or nothing game, because you got to become obsessive with it to look at all the analytics and see where the video did well or bad, editing them, how the wording is, how the cook is, how the thumbnail is, how did you do on, like, I do the same video, like do the same topic, but on 3 different videos for reels and shorts and TikTok. And you see like a TikTok one hits it off, the YouTube one goes nowhere, and Instagram's in between on reels. So it's like it's a real time consuming and like thought. It's all consuming. So I have like a friend who's like now their firm DG Law. They're almost going to be number 1, like YouTube out of nowhere. They just came like within a year or 2 and shot up. And I was talking with them. One partner probably does marketing, one partner does operations. And I was talking to operations partner and was like, I don't think this is private conversation, if you will, but it's like, yeah, it's just like when you get into that, you got to be obsessed. It takes it all over. And I see that. And now I remember why a year and a half ago when I was going hard at it and doing really well, it was kind of losing my mind too, because it's like, okay, I woke up, let me do a TikTok. Okay, it's lunchtime, I got to do another TikTok and this. Now, some people do it bulk, like on a weekend, they just do a bunch of them, but that's like my energy level goes down when I'm just doing it like that. I like to keep it fresh and something pops up, like talking about it, but it means I'm constantly thinking about what the next thing's going to be about. And like, it's just consuming my brain and obnoxious to be producing content like that. But at the same time, the results work. I mean, I've been doing it for 10 days. Our lead generation went like crazy. You know, leads, a lot of them are whatever leads, but the numbers go high where if you do it consistently 4 to 6 months, you double your firm. So then it comes a problem of how to handle the case that comes in. But now we got somewhat of a system to handle the lead flow that comes in. So not too busy answering emails. I have automations for that. But I realize you got to just call people sometimes too, because they don't respond to emails. If someone has a good case, you just got to call them up immediately. So I'm going to call a system to talk. That as a whole thing, but we got better. We got a call service and we have like a software and help and all that kind of stuff. So it's gotten better, but I'm sure 6 months of doing this, I'm going to hit a wall and have to go back to fix operations. By that point, I might get some help or something like that to do operations stuff. But yeah, the video marketing, social media marketing works. I'm also writing again on LinkedIn. I kind of switched it. I'm not writing as much about immigration. I'm more writing about like my thoughts and stuff like that. And it's a good time capsule to see what's going on. Maybe my kids will see in the future too and know what their dad was thinking about this time of life. But it's worth doing, and it depends. Some people aren't into it. Some people like writing more. But you got to put yourself out there. You got to do development this way. You know, just the fact that I'm doing this podcast and thinking about this stuff, both at, you know, this is a business to business podcast for trade people, but it does allow me to think more about what I'm doing. And so it makes me a better lawyer. And also that helps marketing, it helps personal development, professional development. And it's like, frankly, the reason I'm winning the Super Lawyers Award and Best Lawyers Award, and I keep winning these different awards, these are all based on like rankings from colleagues. And they'll like US News sends me a list of like 100 immigration lawyers, 200. And, I just go through the list. And if I see my friends on there or a name I know, I just say, okay, that's good. And so, like, if I ran for ALA something or chair or whatever it would be, I'd probably win just because of the name recognition. So it's like voting. It's all about name recognition. I am a really good attorney, but you guys have never hired me before, so you know how good I really am. I have clients who like I refer cases out and like, are they a good attorney? Do you think like I'm like, I like the guy and he's got good reviews online, but I've never hired him to do my perm. I have no idea if he's like on top of it. His paralegals are good. I don't know if this week if he's like sick and not doing good service or he's better other weeks. I can't really say. But name recognition is name recognition. So, write these articles to the tool. We have this magazine. We're getting back to publishing the magazine. Get your name in there. Get your name seen everywhere. Because these awards, like, I really don't like it when like the Super Lawyer Awards comes around. And then some people are like, oh, I won Super Lawyers Award on Instagram. This is like a fake award, this and that. And like, well, why are you talking about it, promoting it? And there's a couple, I'm probably going to annoy people that heard that. But anyways, I don't like it because, first of all, like when I look at the list of I really want to be on Super Lawyers before I got on it. Now I don't care as much. It's one of those things. But before I got, like when I always want to speak at ALA conferences. And now when they invite me, I'm like, I have to go to ALA, pay this money and fly, leave my family. It's weird how life flips on itself. But it's just really important to do because it means a lot to people, and it does mean a lot to me too. Because when you go down the list of who's on the Super Lawyers list, it's really like the best like lawyers in like Southern California. I'm looking at it, it's like, oh wow, these are top immigration lawyers, and I'm like in that group. So it's a boost for me. It's a boost for our team too to know like we got best law firm. I think we moved up the tier from tier 3 to tier 2 or something like that. I just need to open up my second office, and I'll be a national office. I'll be tier 1 and all this kind of stuff. And it helps morale, and it's just like it's nice. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to name recognition. And I guess name recognition does mean a lot because it means you're hustling. Like everyone knows Charles Cook and Greg Siskin and like all these people because all the stuff they're doing. So obviously they're doing great lawyering work. So that's why everyone knows them. And I'm publishing magazines, I'm proofreading stuff, and I'm talking about everything I learn. I'm thinking about it, I'm writing stuff, and constantly this stuff. It just means like I probably am a good lawyer. But at the same time, being a lawyer is more than just knowing the law. It's like service and stuff like that. I think it's more service is really important. That's what annoys me the most when legal services aren't top notch. It's kind of like, yeah, whatever. We'll do the work, but it'll take like forever to do it. And sometimes that happens at our firm, very rarely, but it does. It really frustrates the hell out of me when it happens. Intentionally put this part at the end of the podcast, so for those who are still listening will hear it because it's kind of inside baseball. But thanks for everyone who reached out. The ALACOM's really good. Probably gonna go to the next one. Behind the scenes, I'm trying to work with a couple of other influencer immigration lawyers in our community who are business to business people. Try to set up another conference somewhere to have it smaller, but the way we do it, more intense, more intense. I mean, like more details, not the generic stuff that other panels do and other but not to bash other organizations that do conferences. I'm actually Ayla is doing a bunch of like the fall conference. I'm interviewing all the people doing that. They're good. I'll do better. I gotta say, but nonetheless, they're good. And the best part really about these conferences is the networking. I've said it before. Like when I go to ALA conferences, I don't go to any of the ceremonies or panelists other than the ones I'm talking to because I'm just out there talking with people, with vendors, with other lawyers that pass by. I just look at name tags. If I see a name that I saw on a Facebook page or I saw an article, I stop and say, hey, I remember seeing your name. Who are you? This and that. And I talk with them. And, I've recognition, so people come talk to me too. But that I met some great attorneys I'm referring cases now to, and they got good systems I can rely on. And just you learn a lot of inside baseball. Like, okay, I do in this case. Oh, you specialize in H2Bs or H1Bs. What did you do this? Or let me ask you a question. We got this one case that has this issue. What do you think? So it's like these conferences are primarily about seeing each other, eating like food. We had the O1 conference for the toolbox. We had one. It was I don't call it a conference. It was more of a seminar all day. We had all the lawyers that came. It was like 15 lawyers. All of them flew in from East Coast. There wasn't a single West Coast lawyer in the house other than the speakers. Everyone, the speakers were local LA O1 lawyers, the best in the country. It really was a really good event. And we have it recorded, but I haven't we record the audio and video differently because we have like a professional setup. And I'd never bothered to send the audio and video to the guy to sync them or something. So the quality is not fixed up. And it's a whole course. It's like a straight up how to do an O1 course that I made. And I just spent 2 years now. I haven't published it. It's not busy. But I'll get into it and we'll do more. Joseph Sang, we're going to have him on the show again. He's going to help out a lot with that. Another top-notch lawyer. It's been generational family of doing immigration law. But where am I going with all this? Yeah, just do whatever you can to make this profession better, and through that, you're going to strive to. So, I didn't do this. I did do this toolbox, a podcast with the intent of getting clients. This was originally what it was about. But then I realized all the audiences, other immigration lawyers, and it shifted. So I guess I've learned that do it for the trade, and then do things for the right reasons, if you will. The new season of the horrible show called The Bachelor or Bachelorette is starting again. And back when we had TVs in the house and stuff, my wife would watch it, and I would always hear because we had a small place. And always a stupid thing. They always says, "Are you here for the right reasons? Are you here for the right reasons?" And it's just such a stupid saying. You're on a like horrible TV show. Whatever the right reasons. But having said, I'll take that quote and like, are you doing this for right reasons for the practice? Look at Kevin Gregg on his podcast, Immigration Review. Man's doing like hardcore reading every day, and his mentor is Courage Man. That guy is still publishing that book as two things right now, and we're interviewing all the partners of their firm, wonderful organization, hardcore immigration lawyers. Check out the one with the former DOS, Department of State undersecretary, whatever the title is, former consular officer, former AAO person, and it's really neat. So I'm kind of rambling. I'm kind of excited to do the podcast again and just to put my thoughts. And I know you guys love it because I'm at the conference and I was like, yeah, we love it. So like, I'm glad that you guys love it too. Spread the word, get other people listening to it so we get more stuff going. Email me so I know you're listening to and what kind of stuff you like to hear so I can put that in magazines and future conferences, seminars. And again, help me get your name out there. So if you really know a part of the field really well, come write an article and then we'll podcast about it. So that way you get notoriety in the field and your clients will see it too. When they research you, what typically happens, even with the most established people, they come on the show and then the show becomes their number one search result on Google when people search your name. And my goal in the show is make you look as good as possible. I'm not trying to get gotcha questions. This isn't like hard hitting news. I'm trying to promote you. so if we get that in the magazine and stuff, it's really going to boost your career. And so it's like a free, you just write an article, essentially a good article. And like, you're just getting like tens of thousands of dollars of publicity out of it. So I developed this and I want to help the community. So let's do it. info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. All right. Till next one. Have a good one. God bless.